Alright, this is Mr. America's second part, 21st century game controller collection. Had a 20th century collection here for this. Light's not going to be as good, but first one here is the Konami Dance Dance Revolution controller. Officially on the box, there's no space between Dance Dance Revolution. This came out in 2008. It's got the GameCube hookup, which makes it great and easy to hook up to the PC if you an adapter. I got the Guitar Hero microphone. It's a USB microphone. Works great as a cheap USB microphone. This is the Ferrari F430 Challenge. If you want a fancy limited edition box, got a sticker, limited edition. I'm going to change the focus on this. Fancy limited edition sticker. It's like the other Thrustmaster I have. Buttons really clacky, but worse than that, they're rounded off. They bulge out. They're sort of half domes that just dig into your finger, especially with the size and the spacing. They just dig into your thumb when you're pushing them. It's really hard to hit these top LR buttons at the same time. L1 and L2. This is a PS3 and PC controller. These analog triggers, it's really uncomfortable to hit them together. Are fantastic. They feel great. They're sort of rounded up to give you a little bit of a finger rest. Analog sticks are wonderful. They feel completely smooth with more resistance than most of what you're used to. Kind of cool that they're just metal sticks there. This controller has two buttons on the back, which I wish all controllers did, because it works fantastically. It's so excellent for particular emulation. So whenever you want extra buttons, it's got more buttons than any other conventional controller that I have. It has the most. But in addition to that, it has more axes, aside from a 6-axis controller, than any other I have. It has a steering wheel around the D-pad. The D-pad's real small and rocky, and I haven't used it enough to really tell you about it, but this is a cool little thumb steering wheel that you can use to steer, and it works great. It works for old paddle type games as well. It's analog. And it has a mode switch so that you switch how it's using that analog. Has the Motion Plus attachment. A lot of people say, oh, the Wii controller should have just came out like this to begin with, with the good 1-1 tracking, but Nintendo's official story on it is, well, it costs too much. If you remember, Wii launched at a really good price. I believe that's one of the reasons for success, because it was a well-priced system. So when the technology became affordable, Motion Plus came out. This is the jog for the Wii. One also exists for PlayStation 2. It's considerably rare. You hook this up to your nunchuck, and you push a direction on the nunchuck, and when you walk or jog, you will move in the direction it's pushed. It also has a switch here to turn that off, to where you can just use the nunchuck by itself if you're in a tough spot or it's menu selection or something like that. So essentially you can stand there and run through any given game that uses a nunchuck. And it also counts your steps with a pedometer here. And it counts calories as well. But it's really cool. You push on a nunchuck and you jog, run up and down, and it works great. I played through Galaxy on Super Mario Galaxy, and it was tons of fun. Played through a little bit of another game. It was great. I plan on using it again. That's Classic Controller Pro. Personally, I think the analog stick and the slanted grip is just uncomfortable. I feel like it's for too big of a hand, I guess, and my hands never have problems with any size of a controller. It just feels like it's too far away or something, and I don't like that. These buttons back here feel really good. I like the design of how it goes farther out and farther apart. is a split fish dual SFX Evolution wireless. What a name. That's for PS3 and PC. Came out in 2009. Basically, two nunchuck style controllers. Has 3 buttons that would appear to be functional on both, but the F is just an internal function button, and it's on both sides. I guess if you're just using one, you might want to do it. Seems pointless, and I didn't like that it was basically pointless. Batteries seem to run out on these pretty quick. Makes loud beeping noises when you're changing settings. Got your buttons here. The plastic comes up. To where you can feel the X, and that kind of sucks. Got your decent joysticks. This feels fine. I played a few one-button games. Still circle here. When it's turned on, you can do 6-axis on this by tilting, motion control. And this cool little thing, this wheel-looking thing, is a D-pad. Left, right, up, down. Very unique D-pad. Very cool. One of the better reasons to get this. And it is nice that they give you the visual indication of which direction you're tilting in the 6-axis. You got your Rock Band Fender Strat. I couldn't get this to work on a PC program that lets you strum. The strum bar wouldn't work. That's the main reason I wanted it. It's got the 2 sets of buttons, and it's much more comfortable. No click. Clicking is very distracting when you're using it on a real music program for chords and such. This I don't consider a normal part of the collection, but it's worth putting in there because it's nunchuck shaped. It's the forget the full name of it, but it's basically a Dolphin trackball. It's got buttons on the bottom. It's a trackball on top. Trackball is a little scratchy, I guess. Not really scratchy, but not totally smooth. But it's cool. It's a one-handed trackball that has Wiimote nunchuck style buttons. Got a little finger rest. Used it for a few things. It's cool. I got a different trackball that I prefer. Have the PS Move controller. This button right here is soft. PlayStation button. Got a blink in there. D-pad is fine. These buttons, the X and the O, very, very uncomfortable. Hurts your thumb practically every time you touch them. Very uncomfortable. This stick is great. Got analog trigger, regular trigger. Played through Crystal Defenders with this. Emulating the Wii. It's fun. Good for a one-handed controller. Good enough for even doing some platforming games of old. So we Remote Plus, I always preferred it being called Wiimote, or it's got Motion Plus inside. I'm glad they made it. You can't really tell the difference of the weight. Got your sync button right there, and the texture is not quite the same on the back. DJ Hero for the Wii. Hope to be able to hook that up to this PC sometime. It's really complicated. Haven't tried to hook this up to the PC, but had fun playing the game. The U-Draw game tablet for the Wii. Very well done. Even has some games that you can use the buttons on the stylus. And has some games, not just drawing. Some mini games. And interestingly, the 3 most recent controllers, the first one from 2011, are some of my favorite controllers of all time. And the one, at least 2 of these, are the ones I played with the most. And it's right here, the Versus Fighting Pad for the Xbox 360, and you also use it on PC. Really wish the Xbox 360 would let you use the home button as an independent button. Got shoulders. It's got start and back on top, which is very cool. Real clicky arcade style buttons. Feels a little bit off there, and the grip is a little strange off. The reason I love it, micro switch, which is what arcades use. Clicky micro switch D-pad style thing here. It's soft rubber, moves fantastic, feels great. It's like smoother than a D-pad, but faster than an analog stick. Here the Neo Geo CD controllers are like this. The Neo Geo Pocket controller was like this. From what I heard, they didn't feel as good as this. Shoulder buttons are great. This is, in my opinion, better than any D-pad, any analog stick, any motion, and any touch, any joystick for shooters. It's just so precise and quick, and you sort of hear when you're going a certain direction. I've beaten the entire Darius series of arcade games with this, and those can get pretty hard. It's a lot of fun. It's fantastic. I'd say it's in my top 2 or 3 controllers ever, just because of that. Even though I don't like it for normal use, it's such a good microswitch D-pad that it's a specialized controller that's just totally fantastic. Of course, it's originally made for fighting games, which I don't play as much. But best shooter controller. And this here is my go-to controller of all go-to controllers. My favorite controller ever. Just because I have emulation and use RetroArch and have lots of emulator functions: rewind, slow down, change state, pause, change shader. D-pad's great. These buttons are great. This L button not working is easy when you push it down. It's wireless. I like the PlayStation 3 pedal type analog as opposed to the trigger, which makes you exert your finger and hurt your finger more. These sticks are great. It's got the extra home button. It counts as an extra button. Start and select is placed in a horrible place, but you don't really need it because you can just use the keyboard for all sorts of things. I used the 0 as a select, P for emulator pause, enter for regular start button, and then you can use the entire keyboard. H for reset. You can get the tab. It doesn't have function or control. That's because it's a PlayStation 3 controller, but grips are great. It's my favorite controller to use. One, because it's wireless. It's got 6-axis built in too. It's called free axis on this. The LED buttons are way too bright, so I put the sticker over it. You can actually reach start and select with your index finger on either side, but you don't really need to use it. I use it for profile switching on XBetter. And this is the Phono controller, which is I own 105 controllers. This is the 100th controller that I bought. This is about a strange company called CTYRZCH. Made some time in the past 5 years. Mini wireless Bluetooth gamepad. It has different modes that you can use for Android, iOS, or PC. Haven't been able to get it to work on any Android device yet, but I have a couple old ones and one that doesn't have Bluetooth anyway. It emulates a mouse. You hold select and press that button, and it does gamepad mode. And I didn't discuss this about the 7800, but if you press both 7800 buttons on the Atari 7800, it registers as a third separate button. It doesn't register as A plus B. Instead, it's like a C. It's not 1 plus 2, it's a 3. And this has similar. If you look there, it says R1, L1. If you push these two buttons together, it registers as a separate button. These two register as a separate button, which is cool. It gives you a little bit of extra feature if you want it. It's got 2 buttons there. It's got the 3DS style circle pad, which I don't have anything like that. I don't own a 3DS. It's very small. You can, of course, with XBetter you can map it either way. Fantastic one-handed controller, especially if you're going to just do auto fire on a shooter or something and you just want to sit with one hand, your hands are tied or whatever. You can just go like that. It's great for navigating with a mouse. Works great on a mouse. Even though it shows up as analog for the D-pad, it doesn't register anything about it, but when you're using the mouse it does. That's a bit strange. Couldn't get it. It's hard to get it to connect a lot of times, but that's it. That's the last one. That's all of my game controllers, all 105. It's so dark, and I'm glad I don't have more for just tonight.